Welcome, welcome everyone. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining. Let me know in the chat where you're coming in from. I'm in Miami and it is raining today. Not that warm, or yeah, not that warm, not that nice, but we appreciate the rain. Anyway, super excited to have you all here. Hello from Tennessee. Welcome from Tennessee. Excited to have you all here. Welcome to From Concept to Cashflow, Smart Workflows for Building XR Applications. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Darlise Calix, co-founder and organizer of CreateHER Fest, and I'll be your technical support for this session today. Before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone is set up for a great experience. If you have any questions or run into any issues during the session, feel free to reach out to me during the session and directly in the chat. I'll be here the entire time to help out. So quick note about the tools we'll be using with our workshop space today. Many of you are already familiar with the chat feature down below. So like I said, let me know where you're logging in from in the chat. If you're having any questions, you'll see a Q&A feature to the right as well. So feel free to use that if questions pop up. Many of you have already pre-asked your questions during registration. So if you did, we'll get to those towards the end. And let us know if you're feeling good today by giving me a thumbs up. You'll see the reactions at the bottom. If you're feeling excited, give me an applause. And then at any point, if you're feeling confused during this workshop, maybe you give us, a little questioning monocle guy. If you're feeling confused, we'll work it out together. So let's keep this interactive. Let's keep this fun. I love everything metaverse and everything. Like, I'm super excited to have this workshop today with Marlena Love of the Diamond Resilience. I'll let her introduce herself further, but let's welcome and give me a little bit of a round of applause with the reactions. Let's give a warm welcome to Marlena Love. Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay, can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I will be muting a lot. Trying my best not to cough in you guys' ears there, but I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me and to everyone here at Create Hair Fest. I love all things metaverse. I'm really excited about this space and I always love an opportunity where I can go crazy with talking about all of my designs and creativity. So, how you guys doing? I see we have one Tennessean in the building. How I wish I can be right back down south because the Minnesota weather has not been kind to me at all, and I hate it so much. But I'm originally from Memphis. I'm currently based in Minneapolis, Minnesota here. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can go right into it. Let's see. Present share.
Yeah, you'll want to hit the share, not present content.
Yes, I kind of just saw that one.
No problem.
Okay, we got it. We got it. Perfect, perfect. So this one would be a little bit of more of like a live demo, hands-on. I don't expect you all to kind of do it alongside with me as it's a lot of content, but to really just show you the different possible use cases and workflows you can use as you prepare for your hackathon that's coming up. If I'm thinking like next week, right? It's coming up very fast here. So, a little bit about me. I'm Marlena. I am the founder and CEO of the Diamond Resilience. We are a creator led community dedicated to helping digital creators unlock all types of opportunities within a Web3 XR space. Whether you're looking to grow your business or launch a career, we have a growing community and network just for you. And we offer tailored programs, tools and a collaborative ecosystem that is international. And we operate in Web3, XR, and in the gaming space. So it's an exciting opportunity to be a part of something where you get to game and create games and experiences. Outside of me being a founder, I do consider myself a tech startup entrepreneurial as well. I'm actually building one of the first to market decentralized career management platform for creators in the Web3 XR space. And I'm quite sure we can all agree that I think it's time that we seek out an alternative pathways to owning our careers and owning the pathways that we go through and not being reliant on just one particular employer, one pathways, which is oftentimes disruptive as we see in this industry. So if I can be the pioneer to create a more decentralized pathways where we can have more control and autonomy of a career path, then I'm all for it there. So I've been building that for 3 years. Excited to be going into phase two of that and seeing that hit the marketplace. And outside of that, where a lot of people know me as Boss Leo IO in the metaverse and gaming space, where I consider myself the Web3 XR business bestie. I love everything business. I love the idea of making money, and it's gotten to the point where it's like a game now, where it's like, what new thing can I try that I can flip to make a substantial amount of income for it? And I'm in the most exciting field where you can turn any idea, any hobby, any passion of yours into a sustainable source of income, whether it's for your own career or your own business. And I get a chance to talk a little bit about that, of what that means there. And so, a little bit of like, how did I get here? I've been in the entrepreneurial space for over 13 years. My first job literally was in college, door to doors, like selling textbooks because no one wasn't using them anyway. So they just sold it to me and made an extra future bucks. It wasn't $100 they may have spent, but it was something on top of that. I've always been an artist, despite my career of going from being a business analyst into working in project management. I've always had a love for art. I've done graphics, I've done websites. Now I'm making different games and experiences, which is all pretty exciting for me as well. So I've never let go of being an artist there. And so I would say around 2020, around, I think that was right before COVID hit, me being a tech enthusiast, picked up my first headset because once you get paid, it's just something about your wallet saying that you need to grab that new tech. And I often joke to a lot of my friends that it really sucks sometimes being a girl because not only am I crazy about fashion, makeup, and all the things in the world, I have to get my hands on the latest tech. And so I never really have savings because it's going to the next big thing. Okay. So I need to do better. I know. I got to do a lot better with this. But it allows me to be in an exciting industry as well. So I've been in project management. I worked in a lot of industries from education to autonomous vehicles to retail, biotech. Insurance, all of them. I work with some of the biggest companies like Google, Medtronic, Allianz, and a lot of big companies, and even Target. So I had my hands and a lot of areas there, just going from different industry to industry. And I have to say, being in the metaverse and the gaming industry has been the most exciting. And it's blockchain based on top of that. And so I'm always excited about learning and diving into a lot of these areas. And most importantly, it allows me to bring that creativity and a strategy in one place, which oftentimes I feel can be difficult when you're working in a traditional corporate environment. Your mind is completely limited and boxed in. So being in this space, which I'm most passionate about, is that I get to be a jack of all trades and I get to allow myself to be a creative, to be a designer, and to just build something. And on top of that, I can get paid. Okay. I love that. Love that all the way. So I'm excited about that. I talked a little bit about the diamond resilience, so I'm gonna skip right into it. Um, but I know that this is a group that loves all about the video and aspects. So why not just do a quick video about who I am as Boss
Like
Leah
I'm
IO?
feeling Apple Vision, you know, like
It's giving. I
yeah.
just bought 13 iPhone 15 Pro Maxes. Hey everyone, I'm here with the boss Leah.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. We're gonna put it together. We're gonna work on my influencer skills. We're gonna work on that.
And to this day, we're still working on those influencer skills. Not gonna lie, we're still working on that. So let me ask this one question because I always love to ask this to get people initial reactions, right? When you hear the word metaverse, what comes to mind? What do you think when you hear the words metaverse? And trust me, I heard it all. Just put a keyword out there. What comes to mind when you hear the word metaverse? Okay, chat rooms, that's one. VR worlds. Okay, definitely. Great, great, great. Absolutely. Huge goggles. Well, yeah, that's definitely something there. Huge goggles. There, I'm not gonna lie. If I can find it somewhere back here, I do have a big goggle headset, and it does hurt my head a lot. As well. But all of those things are true. I know a lot of people, the first thing that comes to mind is they think gaming. They think gaming, gaming, gaming. We game a lot. And you know what? Not going to lie, that is true. We do game a lot. I've been to a lot of gamings and stuff. But I also show them about the business side of the world. That is true, Beat Saber. When I first got into the headspace, I actually did it for fitness. Believe it or not, VR fitness is just as highly effective as regular cardio. Like you can get a whole sweat session going in your VR headset. Not gonna lie, it is lit. And there's platforms like Supernatural, like FitXR that you can do it with your friends and it's so fun. In fact, I'm in the actual VR women's group right now where we all just go and we work out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if you're still trying to think about that summer body, now's the time. Definitely pick up the headset, and it's cheaper, and sometimes it's free as well. So we're still working on that summer body. Trust me, you can definitely give it VR headset. That cardio would get you right, and those leg workouts are real. And that's why I got mostly into VR headset because of the VR fitness. And not gonna lie, being in a completely immersed environment where you're in another country, you're in a whole nother world and you're not worried about what people are looking at or how they're looking at you. It's a chance to really be just tapped into your own energy and your own peace. And I really love that about VR. The other part of it is the worlds, right? It's the many worlds you can be in and explore. And just by me being curious, I had a chance to what we call world hopping is going to different world environments, not the type of environments that are built by the gaming studios and companies themselves, but by creators like you and I that were able to build all of these amazing worlds. And then on top of that, they were charging for them. And I got kind of confused for a moment. I'm like, why am I seeing a lot of cash apps around here? And why is someone selling a digital house for like $500? Like maybe I'm missing something here. And then someone kind of broke it to me. And they're like, no, like all these worlds are monetizable just like the real world. You can rent them out, you can pay for different objects, you can really create a living after that. So all it took was this person to tell me that they paid $500. And I was like, who, what, when, where, how? Can I get involved in this space? Because obviously, whatever I'm doing in the real world is not working. That I can sit at my desk, create something, and I can make $500, then I need the tea right now. And I never looked back since then, right? And so that's the amazing things that it doesn't have to break the bank. You don't have to break the bank to make an immersive world environment. And it's not always just games, it can be experiences that you can do here in this space. And so for today's agenda, I will talk a little bit about a simple framework of how you too can get started, technically for free, of creating your own space, be it an app, a game, or an experience like me who create immersive activation experiences, which is another word for events and management. And then how you can go about doing that if we have time and if we can pray to the 3D modeling gods that everything works well, we'll be able to do some 3D assets creations there, work with some platforms. But I will at least show you my simple process of how do you go about planning a world, building that, what tools are available at your disposal that are free. Okay, the keyword today is free, to be able to make these things and then to leverage the different workflows there. And then afterwards, I'll work with CreateHER to be able to give you guys the links to a lot of these tools here. So, the first thing first, I would say, just give me an idea about you guys' background. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you work for companies where you're probably familiar with something called like a software development lifecycle. How many of you guys work for teams where you build websites or mobile apps or have experience in that area? Or do we actually have people in here that actually are in the industry that build games and XR experiences? Very curious. We are software app type of people, or are we games type of people? Which lane are we in? Okay, we're in a software space. Got one software developer in this space. And it's okay to say that you're new to all of this as well. I give it like one more few seconds to go, and then we're gonna keep the ball rolling. Okay, we're still new. Great, great, great. All right. Well, me wearing my project manager hat, um, you're going to hear a lot of things when it comes to building a product. There's typically a process called the software development lifecycle, the product development lifecycle. I have an immersive world creator. I love that. So I have a little bit of mixture, a few people and a lot of new people, and that's okay. Hopefully that this will simplify a few things for you here. So on the very highest level, right, when we talk about building a product, in most cases and where we are building a software product, that's your websites, that's your mobile apps, web apps, everything that's has something to do with how do you consume and transact on the internet in the form of an app. They typically follow a process called a software development lifecycle, which is pretty straightforward. You have this big idea of what you want to create, then you do something called requirements. You try to figure out what is it that this app needs to do? What is it that the customers and the market, what is it that they want? And how do I meet them in the middle in order to build a product that is wanted by the market? And trust me, as a project manager, I love my devs so much, but sometimes they have the idea and they go straight into developing and making this cool thing, and then they push it to a market that nobody wants. And that's always the story I always give people, like, well, have you done the research? How do you know people want this? Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox right there. But exactly. We got a PMP certified. I love that. And so, even as an entrepreneur, right? I love my devs. I love you guys. Like, we would be nowhere without you, I promise. But even as a founder, right? Where we have this big idea and we want to go straight into building it and putting it out there, but there's always a process. You have to do your research, gather requirements, then you go to the fun part, which is okay, how do we design and prototype this before we start bringing in the big guys, the developers, to start developing this, coding this, and making it functionable? I hope I said that right. Functionable to use. And then you can take it to market and you're done, which is pretty typical and a process. What I love about building an XR experience is that technically you would do the same things, but a lot of the work you do up front is in that design phase, which you can pretty much deploy in production, test and iterate and all the different things. So this is the first thing that I would tell you about is getting familiar with product development life cycles here. And so, when we think about extended reality for those that are new in this space, extended reality is a mere extension of our real world where the digital and physical worlds are blended together and how you interact with them. You may have heard the term called mixed reality. It's typically where you're probably using like your filters, like your Snapchat filters, even your Instagram, even I do use the Kim Kardashian filters sometimes. A lot of that is your augmented, your mixed reality, and you get to interact with different objects or different 3D characters in the space. And then you have virtual reality where you're fully immersed in a space. That's when you have a full environment, all of the things that you see in the real world are gone. Technically, like what you see here in my background, except that it's fake and it's not moving. So this is really the biggest difference when it comes to extended reality is how far away are you away from reality. And it's one of those things truly that I tell all of my friends and people when trying to explain virtual reality, you won't really know until you put on a headset. So I definitely encourage each and every last one of you to go to like a Target, a Best Buy, put on a headset and be blown away. The moment you put on a headset and you're not really motion sick there, you will never be able to go back. Not going to lie. It's the best thing that you can ever do when it comes to simulated environments. And it's a space that I love so much. And I've met people from all around the world that's been able to just get a second chance of life. And that's why I'm in the more of the content social aspect of it, which a lot of people don't know. And so you're probably wondering, like, okay, all of this is probably blowing me out the park right now. There's this cool things you can do, but now let's take it one step further and to say, what do you mean by the social aspect of it? The part where I'm a VR content creator and I'm not just an avatar. And so here's a few examples. So what do a social experience look like and how you can actually leverage that for the purpose of a business or for a purpose of contract or any other type of simulations where you don't have anything. So here's an example of one of my worlds. This is what I like to call was me becoming like a teenager in the metaverse that I built my first metaverse club in this space. And yes, people do club in the metaverse. And I'm one of them who actually goes to the club online because it's better than putting on makeup, putting on clothes, and then going outside at 12 o'clock at night. I rather just party from my house these days. And so this is one of my club scenes where I actually host a lot of events with a real life DJ, and you can kind of see the name of it called the Faded Sky Lounge. I have my own robot. And it's a pretty exciting world event, and I just bring people over to it. You can actually go to it there. Yes, clubbing in a crib is real. Um, exactly, a few waves. I've been to a lot of raves in the metaverse, and I'm not gonna lie, clubbing in the metaverse at home is lit time 10. I am not gonna lie. And I tell my friends, like, there's no way, nowhere else in the world where you can go to club with an AI and an alien at the same time. Like, come on, a cool alien dancing, AI bots, not gonna lie, it's the best thing ever. And so you kind of see me right here and behind the scenes, like working on my world. But that's just one example of an experience, a social experience that we can bring people together in this space from all around the world, not just in your city. And I have some of the bestest friends from Florida, from Dubai, from UK, all here that I met in the metaverse world. Here's exhibit number B. That is not a number, it's an alphabet. But here's exhibit letter B. Here's an example of me doing a podcast. So, how many of you guys have podcasts or been on a podcast or would like to be on my upcoming podcast? Well, this is a podcast called The Unchained Resilience that I launched last year. I had over 10 guests, and here's an example of another social type of experience where instead of being on Zoom, or having an arrangement to meet somewhere or even investing in a lot of equipment, I was able to build a podcast completely free in the metaverse and host all of my different guests and have my co hosts here.
And do you find, were you involved in that prior to coming into, the
The
metaverse and
internet a
into
bit
the
is slow.
VR immersive experience? Was this something you brought in with you or something that the blockchain technology inspired you?
So I think it was more of I've always dipped my toe in the crypto waters, but during the pandemic when everybody was pushing out NFTs, um I kind of got hit pretty hard because I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, let's go, we're gonna be billionaires. And and I got beat up pretty bad, and that it
All right. So that's an example of an experience. And I'm not just the only person that has like a podcast. There's so many other podcasts in this space. There's homes in this space. There's even businesses in this space as well. People have their own offices, and sometimes this is way better than a Zoom. When I have office hours, I will just send people a link to one of my worlds that I've created, and they'll meet me here online on PC in my office in avatar form. So these are some of the cool examples of rich content experiences that you can create outside of just games, which is also a great content experience as well. Especially we're in this part, we're moving to a place where everything is being gamified. So how can you gamify your business and bring in extra revenue for your business by doing in-game tokens and so forth. So that's a little bit about like content creation in the metaverse and what that looks like there. And so there's two diagrams I'll show you to kind of help you break into like this whole mindset of like how do you go about creating content and how actually pretty simple it is. One, you may have heard some terms called a game engine. So I always tell people there's really two powerful game engines in the world that really power a lot of XR experiences. And this is Unity and it's Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is really where you see a lot of those triple A games, movies, big time animations, a lot of the big celebrities. That's if you also have a really nice budget for a computer that doesn't like overfry, which is why I have my laptop sitting in a diagonal position because it is already like hot and crazy. And these gaming computers cost anywhere between 4,500 and upwards. They're very expensive. So a lot of people who are trying to get into this space naturally cannot afford a really good gaming laptop. I know I couldn't. I had to work my way up to get the one that I can. And on top of that, even though Unreal Engine has some of the most amazing tools you can have, a lot of these content experiences that you see, they're all built by another game engine called Unity. Unity. And Unity is a very entry level game engine. It's where a lot of platforms, including Meta Horizon Worlds, is on. I would say Fortnite is probably on Unreal Engine, and we have other creator platforms like VR Chat. spatial.io, and then of course where I'm at, you have Meta Horizon, where it's all built on Unity. And so this is what you call a game engine. So if you are a developer, a software developer, you're probably familiar with platforms called Microsoft Azure, or that's the only thing I can remember right now is Microsoft Azure. But there's other like rich cloud-based environments where you build all of your applications for building an app and deploy it. You use it on that particular software. That's how it works in a game engine. A game engine is a HUD where you build the entire package of your game, your app, or your experience, and bring it all together. And so, a part of this game engine, there's something called DCC. And with DCC, I call this, if I can remember correctly, this is known as your digital content creation tools. This is where you bring all of your content creations together into one place. Think of this like a website, that as you're putting a website together, what do you have to put together, right? Your assets, your pictures, different type of code functionalities, all of that needed before you can publish. It's the exact same thing when you think about gaming engine, except that you use a lot of 3D, 2D types of software there. And so I'm gonna break it down into what each of those things mean, including the tools here. So let's go to the first part. You have something called 2D CCs, right? This is where you can bring in like your different textures. This is where you can bring in images, all of the different content part that you want to see, a part of your experience you can bring into your game engine. And so popular platforms that I like to use is Substance Painter, 3D Substance Painter. Right now, there's a sale going on with Substance Painter that if you make a purchase of $25, or if you list your product, you could get 6 months for free. Or also, another texture place you can use is Adobe Photoshop. So if you're familiar with Adobe Suite, then you're definitely in for a treat there, because all of this is all about how do you go about doing textures for your designs. The next part here is audio. Audio is the different sounds, the music, all of those different things that you can bring into your environment, to make it fully immersive. So there can be effects and all of those. And so, though it depends on your platform, I know currently Meta Horizon does not have that functionality for some creators, but they do use AI. And I promise we're going to get to the good part where I show you how all of that works there. And then the other part of this, there's two more parts. The other part would be 3D CC. So this is really where the magic happens. Ironically, outside of Unity and Unreal Engine, is how you create your different assets that go into building a world. And so you'll hear a term called 3D models. This is where you get to make your characters. This is where you make your environments, whether it's fashion, like some people like to make their own clothing products, or if they have their own fashion brands, they like to remake it and put it on avatars. Believe it or not, that's also a way of how you can monetize in this space if you have your own fashion merch there. You have your characters, you have architecture. So if you're into real estate like I am, I do digital real estate, which means that I own properties within a metaverse. I built my own properties, and I also sell them, including houses as well, and I rent them out. This is also where I 3D model all of my unique architectures and I sell them to different people as well. That's another way of how I'm able to monetize an animation. So I would say 3D, if you're new into this space, is where you really will spend, I would say, a good 80% of your time. The other 20% that's not on here is being a content creator, which is, I feel like, is pretty much 100% of the time where I still have to go out, promote, and make content about who Boss Leo is in the world that I'm in. And then, so the main platform that I'll introduce you to is Blender. and I'll show you probably some simple, quick ways of how to build a quick immersive environment with that. So you have Blender for your 3D modeling. There are other platforms that you can leverage to do some quick 3D models, and they'll be fine there. And then the last one is for my developers here. So for those who probably are new to development and you're probably like, holy crap, this is a lot. Trust me, I am not a really big programmer or at all. That's why I am so grateful that we have been blessed with the chat GBTs and the Claudes. It has made life so much easier to code. And then there's another tool called bot.new where you can literally just type in a chat and it will literally give you the code. Like we are living in the best of times in the world right now. So all of these areas makes up um, all of these areas make up what we call a DCC ecosystem of creating a content from your 2D assets to your 3Ds and then putting it all together with coding and all those different things to make an engine. And so all of these things play a part in how you go about building an experience. Now, unlike the software development lifecycle, luckily for you guys, you pretty much have three main phases of this here. You have something called pre-production, and then you have something called production and post production. Pre production is so happen to be my favorite part. That's the planning, the brainstorming, gathering all your different assets together, and planning on how you want to go about building an experience. Where production, let's go back into it. Pre production, that's it, right? Yeah, you have all your prototypes, you have all your planning. You also are thinking about like the different mechanics, which is what are the different features that you want to design for your experience. So let's say, for instance, going back to fashion, maybe that you want to be in a market to create your own boutique and sell your own like jewelry and fashion. Or maybe you want to be in the business of creating boutique for fashion designers and you're creating custom environments for them because there's a lot of fashion artists out there and you can create environments for them. One of my favorite companies is called Obsess. I'm going to see if I can put it in the chat. It's called Obsess AR, and they build boutique 3D boutique for a lot of fashion yeah, a lot of fashion designers out there. It's a pretty cool website to go check out there. And so when you're thinking about your designing your assets, what makes it interactive, what makes it exciting, this is all a part of the pre-production phase there, right? Once you have an idea of how you want to go about doing that, then you can go into production. This is where the fun starts to really happen for a lot of other people. This is where you bring it all together. You bring all of your gaming elements, the story, the design together, and you make the experience. And this is also where a lot of the developing and the testing what happened. And when you're in the Meta Horizon worlds, you will find very quickly that the little children that run around are your bestest testers. Because I kid you not, every time I build a world in a space, one kid just so happens to know how to make my world like just malfunction. They break every single thing that I had built in my space. So you're never short of QA testers in this space because you're going to find someone who's going to know how to break every single thing you make and make it a full experience. So pro tip there. And then post production, this is more of the your launch strategy of like how do you market, how do you create content, and this is where I feel like I spend all of my time at of like how do I make what I do visible to the world out there and be creative with that. So let's go to the framework. So tiers is what they are really good at beta testing. Yes, these children do not play. And once we go into these words, you'll see exactly what I mean there. So when it comes to a content development lifecycle, a lot of people have their own process of how they go about creating good content. But here's a simple framework that I use, and I will go through a few of them today of like how I'm able to plan out a world environment here. One, you have like your design briefing, which is your planning phase of, like I said earlier in pre-production, you're trying to brainstorm, think of ideas of like, okay, what's the type of game I want to create? What are going to be the main core features or mechanics, as they call it? What's going to make it that fun? So, this is where you're kind of keeping yourself really grounded into understanding what type of experience. Is it going to be an app? Is it gonna be on a Quest 3? Is it gonna be in Meta Horizon Worlds? Is it gonna be an experience where you're gonna be hosting events and things like that? This is all a part of your brief document of bringing it down. And then you go into what we call the exploration phase. It's where you go to get all your ideas, you get inspiration. I truly believe in this space that it's really hard for you to just come up and say you just came up with a new idea at your head. You have to get some type of inspiration, and it's not plagiarism. It's getting inspiration. It's when you literally just go and make the same thing and not add your own uniqueness to it is what makes it fully plagiarism there. But there's a lot of tools that you can use. I personally use two, which is Pinterest and Midjourney, and I'll show you a little bit of that. Then you go into your asset creation, which is you building out all of your 3D models and assets, bringing them all into one place so that you can bring into your world. Here, after you have all your assets and your designs you want to make, you want to be able to do this in the iterative phase of where you're just building it, which is prototyping, scripting, which we call it scripting, but in the other parts of the world, everyone likes to call it developing. And you'll learn a little bit more as you wrap into this space, but it's called scripting. I know Meta Horizon, we use TypeScript. If you're using Unity, you will be using C Sharp, the C++, and don't be afraid about the coding languages. Trust me, when I say ChatGPT is a friend, it is a friend. And you just do that iteratively until you're able to get the thing working like you want there. And then you implement content create. So it's very super straightforward. I know I just like ran right through this, but I'm hoping to share a little bit more with you guys there because the fun part about really understanding this process is by being a Meta Horizon creator, there is a $1 million competition that will start in March 11th. So after you guys get your feet wet with the Create Her Fest hackathon and you build your experience, you can essentially keep building this. And who knows, you might be one of the top five to win $100,000, or at the bare minimum, one of the 25 to win $20,000. Doesn't that sound truly exciting? That this is a great time to be a part of this. There is really great times there. And so while I actually do that, this would be great here. I will show you the last competition because that would be a really good example to kind of show you what is truly possible in this space of the things you can make actually. So I'll show you some of the top 5 people there. And once I show you how pretty straightforward simple it is, you'll be like, wow, we can start making this today. So here's one of the top 5 winners. This one is probably my favorite one here.
Welcome to some burgers. I'd like to see the manager. One some burger, please.
Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff. And believe me when I tell you that all of this is literally pictures created from Adobe and Canva at all here, including the scripting here. Here's another one. that was made.
Hello, this is Matt Low 3D, and I'm the creator of a game called Harvest Fable and Meta Horizon. Harvest Fable is a cozy farm game where you run around a miniature floating farm map, growing and collecting crops, collecting coins, and from time to time, fending off rival farmers. The game was designed with the intention of creating a gameplay style that was both addictive and fun. Starting with the map, the gameplay area was kept to a very small scale.
Okay. So that's just a little bit of snippet there. So I will share this link with you guys too. I always find that when participating in hackathons, I always like to see what's possible and what other people have created just to give me an idea of what all the things I can do. So I put this chat and I'll put this link in the chat here so you can go and explore. But the moment we've really all been waiting for here is like, okay, this is exciting. How do we get started in this space? So, first thing first, like I said, I'm a Horizon creator, which means that I build on the Meta Horizon platforms. And so, to be a part of this community, one, right now, as of last week, they what made this tool completely like private and in beta is now available to everyone, and it's completely easy to download and it's free. And you will realize that there's a lot of things that you can do on this platform, including creating your own world. And the most exciting thing that I love the most about this is that you don't have to start from scratch. A lot of these tools you can just clone and build on top of it, which is pretty exciting. And so you'll have access to amazing tools, amazing documentation of how to build your own worlds here. And I'm gonna call out kind of like the main top things that I find exciting about it, and then I will show you guys the actual desktop editor of how to build like a quick model here. One is that you get and access to asset libraries. Now, there's a lot of platforms out there like CG Trader. One of my favorite is CG Trader and Sketchfab. So I'm gonna go to those two for you. These are where you can purchase different types of 3D assets. You want to think of this as like Legos or like playing a house, like you're trying to build a house. And if you're not really good with Blender, modeling, and putting those things together, you can essentially just find the model that you're looking for and build on top of it. So let's say that I want to build a storefront. Oftentimes, in these asset stores, they cost a little bit of money. And one of the key things that you want to be familiar with is the word called polygons. When building for experiences like this on platforms like Meta Horizon Worlds or Spatial VR Chat, which is why they like Unity, is that you have to have low poly in your worlds. The higher the count, no matter how cool it looks, it can break your world. So I typically like to go for low poly and free worlds, and I try to figure out what's available, which usually is nothing pretty much there. So we might have to like find some small prices there. So you might see like, oh, there's a mobile phone station for $40. Okay, I can probably do something with that and build around it. So that's one thing to note is that where do you go to collect your assets to build your world here? And then same thing with Sketchfab. You can find different 3D models. You can even find avatars. And oh my gosh, we have to get off of Sketchfab right now. We're going to definitely cut that from the recording up there. So definitely be mindful of what you see there. But you can do 3D. You can find different things here on CG Trader. Now, the good thing about being on Meta Horizon Worlds, you won't get exposed to those different things there, but you do get access to a lot of different libraries there. So if I pull up, let's say, one of my worlds here. Let's do a blank world first, and then I'll show you to one of my worlds. I build a lot of worlds, so you can see I do a lot of things here. Actually, that could have been a good example. I can show you like one of my worlds that I did and how I imported images into the space. So that's the other unique thing about this that I realized was some of the best creators in this space is that you can literally build an entire world environment just from pictures because they're on something called plane, and that will be one of the workflows I'll show you too of like how simple you can do that. So this is called the desktop editor. Very similar to those who are familiar with building off of Unity and Unreal Engine, which I can understand that once you open up Unity, your brain will be completely fried. It's like this is a lot of gadgets, this is a lot of tools. Well, I like to think of this as the kindergarten version of Unity. And it's not so hard to kind of get familiar with, and it's embedded with AI here. And so with the Unreal Engine, as I said before, you can build a lot of things here with shapes. We have gizmos, and you have like the assets that I was talking about. So let's say that I want to build a house or a building, and all of those things you just saw on CG Trader was quite expensive, right? So I want to go and I want to look for, let's say, some architecture here. Let's say, no, this is environment. We don't want to do that. Let's go to structures, maybe. Let's see, Windows buildings. Yes, buildings. Perfect. So I want to come in here, and I'm missing some buildings in here in structures. Let's see. Let's just call this the club or something, or house. This is interesting. Let's see, featured shape environment. They should be here when you have environments and structures. Landscape, structures. Let's take out the club part. They should have some buildings that's available here. Let's see what happens if I just type in building, see what comes up here. Take out featured building. Well, that's pretty much interesting because usually they'll have like some buildings available here. So they're probably doing some fixes, but usually they have buildings available for you all to have access to. Why they're not available, we don't know, but we'll keep it moving as Meta sometimes have changes and updates here. So let's say, let's try to look for something else. Let's say that I want to look for, let's see what do they have available here. Yeah, that's really interesting. Normally they have buildings available, but you know what? That's okay because I have another world with all the assets. So we'll just bring that one up quickly. Let's go bring that one. Let's look up one of my worlds. Call assets. And also, if you choose to build with Horizon Worlds, you can add me, follow me on here, and I can give you access to all of my free assets and worlds that I do have as well. That is one of the perks of being shared in here, that you can share scripts and assets with each other. So this being one of those cases that somehow we're missing buildings. So lucky for me, I've already have some buildings that I saved that I can go to and collect for a world there. So we're going to go to one of my worlds. And this is what I like to call my own repository of amazing builds that I have, different environments. And it's like my own digital junkyard that I have. So everything that I've collect over time being a creator, I add it to my junkyard. So you see, I have some buildings that I may have created, some buildings that I saw as a free asset, and I even have some buildings that other creators have made for me. And so mostly times when I'm starting out with a design, I like to kind of see what I have and my 100 worlds that I build and to say, you know what, I want to start with something like that. So I like what I see. So I'm going to like, I'm play with that object and I'm just going to start building from that, and I might add that to another world. So I'm going to go to one of the buildings I just saw that I said I want to build with. So apparently I like this one. So I'm going to go into the editor, pull that out. And 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna bring this into another world, and start building around it. This is really how simple this can be, when you're building, in a new world. So I'm just bringing this out some, and I'm gonna scale it up a little bit. Let's see if we can scale it. There. So I have a building that I like, and I'm probably want to preview in it. Probably I made it too big, but now you kind of have an idea of like a building, that I can start adding objects into here. And ideally, how this will work, we can go into our asset library and we can see what kind of stuff they have, like what kind of interiors they have that I could add into it. Maybe I want to do like we have clothes and shoes. Maybe I want to add a chair in here. I can add a chair. Just like that, within literally like what, less than like a few minutes, I'm able to take an environment and start building, and I didn't have to spend a dime and building out a custom world environment. Exactly. Yes. I agree with you, LM Design. Like finding really cool things. And there's a lot of amazing creators in this space that give away free stuff all the time, free world environments, and all of that. So this is just one of that. So now I have a boutique and I have a chair. Normally, this is where I put on my headset because, as you can tell, sometimes it's a little bit hard to just see how things are if they're appropriate, right? So normally I like to get in here and start building. But that's just a quick example because I know there's some more stuff I want to show. I want to show you. So I have a lot of worlds like this where I'm playing around with different assets and I'm doing things around here that I want to do. So that's the first thing with this editor is that you get access to an amazing library pool of free objects to quickly pull a world together. On top of that, let's see what else is available to you in this space. The monetization part of this. Every world, every creator that's a part of Meta Horizon Worlds, this is what I love the most, that you can monetize off of this. And I made my first dollar. I was so excited when I made a dollar. We have a joke about this. A lot of people like a dollar, 50 cents. I'm not gonna lie, just the fact that somebody is paying you, a complete stranger, it's the most amazing feeling in the whole wide world. And a part of that $1 million competition, right now, I'm just a big spokesperson for Meta for some reason, but Meta has invested $50 million into their creative program this year that they're trying to get rid of by the end of the year, which means that all 80% of that $50 million is going to bonuses. And so by you creating worlds like this, you can get tips, do in-game tokens, and a lot of those things. And that, so when you're thinking about the type of experiences you want to make as a part of the CreateHER Fest hackathon, a lot of things you have to think about for an XR app or a game is how can you monetize this? How can you get people to make money? Like how can you get people to make purchases in the form of tokens? And to do that, even here in this space, is pretty straightforward. Here we have something called gizmos. This is where you bring a lot of that cool functionality into your worlds. In a website development world, we call those like widgets, right? Widgets. You can bring like a mirror for people to take pictures in. You can have your own custom environment. I can do recordings. So if this was like a store boutique that I want to put in here, I can start recording and say, "Hi, welcome to Marlena's Boutique, where you can make a purchase." And they hear my voice once they come into the world, and I can change my pitch. Or if I don't like my voice, I can also make music in this world. So let's say that I want to create a music of a ambient chill step sound. So I want to create a sound effect of like an ambient chill. I really don't have the best ideas when I'm just thinking on the spot, but ambient chill sound. Ambient chill sound at the beach. and let that generate. And that's music in my world. So we'll let that do its thing. But these are the different things you can do with this space here. You can have quests in your world for people to do different things there as well. All right, let's see. We have some sounds here. Okay, we got a beach sound. Okay, we have some cool sounds. So you have some sound effects you can make. You can also make oh yeah, ambient audio. I should have said that in the first place. So let's say an ambient chill step sound at a beach. Pretty cool. All right. So while it's doing this thing there, these are just the different things that's available to you. Now, if you are a developer, this might be more of an easy cake for you. Some of the tools like this custom UI, I will show you an example of a world that I've created. I have to remember, this is where I have to go check my Instagram sometime. I think it was called custom UI. This is where things get a little bit more complicated of like how do you develop really cool experiences using TypeScript. And I think this is the one where I did like my first developed custom solution. So let me see here. Oh, and there's my NPC there. Oh yeah, you can have your own NPCs in here as well. All right, so this one I'll probably have to go to my actual Instagram to kind of show you this because I don't necessarily remember the actual game world that I did here. So let's see if we pull that one up here. Here we go. So here's an example of me in one of my worlds. And you see I created a card game. As you can probably tell, my development might not be the best, but here's an example of creating a simple card game that you can make in your world. And this one can be sellable. It can be a cool puzzle game. So this one was more of an activation experience where I tell people you can ask each other questions. A lot of truth or dare questions are pretty popular in here for social party games. And so a person can create a normal game, a truth game, and then all of the questions will appear. And you take on that. And that was a simple solution that I did using ChatGPT there as well, using ChatGPT and creating that experience. So that's one example there. So let me go back into the editor and I want to make sure I explore everything else. So you have your gizmos where you can add in different functionality. You can also add in monetization, like bringing your own digital products. So if you have like a book, if you have like real world items, you can link them into this space. And then just a very simple, if you're just wanting to come here into prototype, that you can just start bringing in different objects and just start building on top of that as well. Now, just showing an example of bringing in a cool object here. Now, from a workflow perspective, if we go back to how I talk about how do you build in this space in an editor, like how do you go about like planning and ideas. Let's say that for this world, I want to build a house. Just something very simple. I want to build a house. Actually, let's go with a real world example. Let's say I want to build a boutique in this space. Normally, usually in VR headset, I will go into the VR and I will kind of like start building it. But the first thing I like to do is I like to get ideas. And so this is where I typically go to Pinterest and I will show you a very quick workflow of how to do that. I go to Pinterest a lot. I go to Pinterest and Midjourney. And in this world, this is where I collect all of my ideas based on a project or based on anything that I'm at. So I did one recently. Actually, this is a good example. I said one for a boutique. that we can do. But now that I think about it, I have one world for a Zen garden. So let's go with this one. Here's an example of me trying to plan out a world around a Zen garden. So I go on Pinterest. I like to look for different type of pictures that I can go off of, or what areas that I like to go off of that might be pretty much interesting. Here's one example of an actual picture that I got inspired by. This was like a garden entrance that I thought was pretty interesting. I like the shape, I like the pictures of it. And so I took this image, one or two things. I take this image and then I go back into my editor. If I go to the actual world that I was working on, I think I took a picture of that world. Let's go to, I never know which ones is these. Let's see, clone, or this one should be it. Let it doing its thing here. Let's see how we're doing on time. We got 20 minutes. So this would be a good workflow to just really talk into. So when you find inspiration, the type of image that you have, one, I usually like to put it in a Figma file that I usually have here. So I will put that here in Figma. Pull this one up here. We go to my inner world. There we go. So either one, I will upload the picture and bring it into the world I'm working on so I can have it there for reference. Or what I'll do is I will have a Figma file and then I will start adding those images, those image references. So you'll see that I go to Figma, I add those screenshots of all the different pieces I like about the world. I say I like this design or I like this floor plan. Figma is like the best tool ever. And I take examples of other worlds that I'm in. I try to link their location as well so I can know who to credit that I got inspiration from. And I try to take a little bit of detail of here. So this is also what I like about being a designer in a space because it's not just going on Pinterest anymore and just looking for inspirations. You get to go to other worlds and explore and like be fully immersed about what makes these worlds so unique. Like in this world, I was able to see how realistic the water was, how homey it felt, the different type of gadgets that it had, the mirror, that it had the music, that it had to be completely wrapped into it. And then once I got those inspirations, I'm able to kind of build out like a layout of like how I want that world to be. Most times when I'm building out those pictures, I have the layout and I'll probably put pictures next to where I want that word to look at to look like in its space. So that's like one example of how I use Figma. And so once I have the environment, then you kind of see. I come into this world and I start building it just like this. And you can always test it to kind of see what that looks like, jump around. So when people join in, they usually come in this entrance and they can come into the world. So that's one example, one quick workflow here. When you start out design, a lot of people tend to go directly into building, but I like to what they call grade boxing, which is take the inspiration and I try to recreate what I saw in the picture. So, like you saw in the image on Pinterest, I tried to recreate what I saw, at least the elements I like about it, and I put what you call different props of it into the world here. So you see, I add different vegetation. This is where I go back to my asset library and go to the environments and try to find different types of like plants and stuff that I like, and I try to add it directly to the place. So you see we have some stones, so I can add this here into it. If I see a plant that I like, I'll add it to here. So I'm just building out the world that I like as I go into the environment. And in my VR headset, I just go around and move it around. So that's the kind of like the first thing here. And then I just keep building on top of it. So this is what we call like the first round of like prototyping or just designing out your space, like just giving it an idea. It doesn't have to be pretty right now. You're just mapping out what this space could look like for you, what it could look like directly for you here, and just kind of building around it from there. So that's one really good example. So how are we feeling? Doesn't it seem like pretty interesting stuff about there? Yeah, that's another one, meshing, about using a simple editor like what do you call this again? Yeah, desktop editor. Meshy is actually my second one that I was going to show. I really like Meshy as well. These are just more scripts. We want to get into that too. Yeah, it's really, really simple. And it's I recommend Unreal Engine, not Unreal Engine. I actually do like Unreal Engine, but it's very high in capacity or so. But I actually recommend Horizon Worlds to a lot of beginners like myself, because doing something on Unreal Engine, they do have a amazing essentials tutorial, but when you're getting access to a lot of things, it can be confusing. There's a lot of console issues that's happening. And so I always recommend people like, hey, give it a try. Go into a Horizon Worlds. And the beautiful thing about Horizon Worlds, like me, trust me, I was a person that struggled trying to figure out why the heck would my cube not fit on the grid. And if anyone knows anything about XR, they would know that a cube actually doesn't fit on a grid. But it took me like 2 weeks to figure that out. Okay, it was really hard to figure this to figure this out. Okay, so a lot of things I didn't know. But what I like about Meta Horizon Worlds for those who are new is that they give you a lot of these tools for free. They give you the scripts for free, and you can build on top of it. Matter of fact, one of the people that won the competition last year for 25,000, I think, he actually just took one of the clone worlds that Meta Horizon gave them. He took one of the clone worlds and he just literally recolored it and just put his own imagination on top of that. And so you have tools to start with. You have all those assets there. So just want to keep safe on time because I want to show you guys one more thing. I thought this was going to open up one of the clone worlds, but we can always return for part two. I am in a CreateHER Fest Discord, so I'm always happy to hop on a voice call and go more in depth in how these tools work. But I did want to show one more workflow of like how to do 3Ds, and it's exactly what LM Design talked about was Meshy here. So one quick way to do it. So these are for people that's not really familiar with Blender. I have personally a love-hate relationship with Blender. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like I hate it more than I do like it, but it's a tool that's really here for you to stay. So with this Blender tool, this is where a lot of beginner creators use to build a lot of their 3D models. So remember what I said, the desktop editor in Meta Horizon Worlds, just like Unreal Engine, is a engine. A lot of the magic of you putting things together is all in the 3D models that you either purchase or you make from scratch. And this is a whole separate class in itself. But luckily, with AI, you can do this from scratch. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite, most simple workflows of like how to completely together here. So this was a true example here. I think I did something simple where I was trying to find a portal. I was trying to create a portal here. So I'm going to go to elements. This is Canva. I was looking for a portal. And I look for graphics. You want to look at like high graphics. So something like this. This is actually perfect. So this is a simple workflow I'm going to show you of how to use something like this in Blender to create your quick 3D assets when you don't know how to create it from scratch, other than just finding one on CG Trader to purchase. So I kind of like this one. Let me see if they have another one that I might like. Then I probably might go with. That's one probably too much. Let me go with something. What does this look like? Oh, excuse me. All right, let's go with I think this is good. Yeah, we can. No, that one probably is a little bit too here. I think this is perfect. My sickness is gonna come up 1 second. All right, let's go here. Okay, so for the sake of time, let's go with this one. So let's say we found an image from Canva that we like. And so I'm going to take this image here. I'm going to do two things with it. One is I'm going to go to Meshy, like our friend mentioned earlier before. And I'm going to turn this object into a 3D object. And I'm also going to show you another quick way. Oh, that's the other one. So I'm going to turn this into a 3D object. And then the next image, I'm actually do a tree. And I'm going to use that as a picture. Yes, I am really sick today, so I do apologize, guys. But we're here because I'm determined to show you guys some cool stuff here. All right, so I'm going to take, oh, look like I already did it. Thankfully, I didn't have to do it. So actually, one of the images that I did before, which was, I believe it was this one. I took this object right here and I downloaded it and I put it into Meshy. So this was the image that I got from Canva. Looks pretty cool, but I know we're going to have to fix it a little bit here. But because I took that image, I was able to get some really cool 3D objects from that, which came out really, really nice. So I picked out one of my 3D objects. I took that and I downloaded it, I hope. Why did it do it for me? I downloaded it. Should have downloaded it. Yeah, download it. Yeah, there we go. Download. We're going to do this as a FBX file because that's what we want. Now, because it is a FBX, I technically can take it as it is and bring it into the Unreal, not the Unreal, the editor under, I can bring it under the editor and the type, it's called the desktop editor here. So I can technically bring it into my editor. So when the image, once the model off of 3D Meshy has downloaded, it gives you two files, an FBX file, which what we want for Meta Horizon worlds, and then you have the texture. Now for the texture, because Meta Horizon is slightly different, naming is really important here. So we're going to call this, I might have to do this in Blender just to be on the safe side. So let's do this in Blender because I want to make sure we're doing this good. I'm going to go into Blender and I'm going to call this image crystal underscore BA. Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes. The first time it was slightly difficult, but that's why you have people like me to break it down for you. Because trust me, the instructions are not easy. What format did she download it from? Canva. So I downloaded it as a PNG file. as it has. What's really important that when you download an image is the naming of it. And what you call it is really, really important. And for it to be a PNG file, it needs to be a underscore BA, which is why I'm going to show you in Blender why this is important. There's different type of naming textures, but for the sake of this, it has to be an underscore BA. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to import that 3D FBX file that I just downloaded. Let's see if we can find it. We're going to take that FBX file. There we go. It looks lovely. I know we have to fix it. And don't be alarmed that it's gray. A lot of objects in its modeling phase is gray. I pressed the Z key in the material preview. And if it's not frozen right now for me, it'll show you the color. But a lot of 3D objects, they start out gray. That's part of Blender. That is a whole beast in itself. That's what we care about. Now, I want to go to the material, and I noticed that the material right here says 001. That's going to cause a problem when uploading to Meta Horizon image right here. So it's called texture 01. We don't want that. So I'm going to go back to the texture, and I'm going to go to that image file. I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to go and find that texture file that I have right there, underscore BA. And there we go. We have it back. This is most important. And then I'm going to rename it here. Why is it like that? I wish I give you a straight answer. I just know that when you don't name it, it's going to look messy. A lot of this, when it comes to using pictures and images, the naming convention is really important. So now I'm going to export it, that FBX file, and I'm going to download. And I guess I'm going to go back to where we have here. And I'm just going to call it Crystal just for the sake of everything. Crystal. All right. All right. Now we have it. Now this is going to make us or destroy us. So we're going to see how this goes. This is where I say we have to pray to the 3D gods, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And doing this live is always the fun part. All right, cool, cool. All right, so now we're in a new world, and now we're going to try to upload this. So now we're going to upload our 3D model, and I'm going to go to downloads, and we'll get that FBX file, and we'll get that BA. And we're going to click this off. I'm going to import. And we're just going to hope that while it's doing this thing, that this turns to green. And if it turns to red, then we're going to have to do a part 2 and another day. Oh my God, it turned to red. It just does not work for me. This happens so much. Lucky for all of you and me, I do have an actual copy of this somewhere in here. But that is my life right now. It could be that I didn't call it BR. Let me see. Let me try to rename it BR. It could be BR. We're going to copy this. Let's see. Let's see. I did this so I know it works. Whoops. It could be BR. I really think it's BR. So let me see. All right. Let's see here. We are almost strapped for time. All right. So we're going to try this one more time. We're going to give it a BR. We're going to call it BR. And then we're going to export it FBX again. I'm going to see if we can replace it. All right, let's try it one more time. The other part about this that you'll start to learn is that when you do this enough time through repetition, you end up becoming a pro at it. It's really great. I wish I would have remembered what I actually this object. Then I would be able to find it when I imported it into here. Oh, it actually worked. It was BR. Great question. I was hoping someone did not ask me that. BA and BR. I have to look at the instructions part of this, but it has something to do with the texture part of it. And the reason why I know we use BR if you're trying to do a mask object like this one, which is another image that I imported from Canva. Whereas if you don't have a mask image, so like this one is like a logo that I've made. Believe it or not, a lot of walls, and a lot of walls are made from images. You can't see it because it's you can't see it for some reason. That image, you can only see one side of it. But here's an example of how I import a 3D object in this space here. But going back to your question, when you have like a transparent image. So let's say that you're trying to get texture for a particular wall. Some people might like that texture as an image here, or like in this case, I want to use a logo. So like you see here with this particular logo, it's transparent. So I had to use underscore BR. Mhm. So yeah, exactly. It's BA. I think right, that's an example. It's a BA. So it's all in the naming convention. And then you see I have an object that I imported here. And so now as I build out my environment, I build out my base, I box it out, I build everything, and now I want to gather all of my assets. I could literally create a folder of all my assets and start importing them one by one into my editor. And now once I have all my assets into my world, I'm ready to put back on my headset and I'm ready to start kind of building and putting it all together. And something like this, with experience, I was able to do this in one day. That's how fast you can really build this, right? And that's without the scripting and editing. That's a whole another ball game. But I really hope that at least did not scare you guys away from wanting to build your first XR app and that you're willing to give Meta Horizon Worlds a try to build your first experience. We are over, but I am open to safer questions.
Amazing. Okay, my camera's being weird. I know I was running like code while this was happening as well. So I'm gonna close down
Yeah.
my environments and everything. Hopefully my video works again. But if not, thank you everyone so much for attending this workshop. This has been absolutely amazing. Marlena, super excited to see what you all build. As you can see, like when you're leveraging other emerging technology like AI, it can help fill in gaps of like what you maybe don't know, you know? And so I would say if you're a little bit nervous about building, you know, on Horizon Worlds, or maybe you're like, maybe I want to give Unity a shot, you know, like just hit up Claude, hit up Chat GPT and see like how you can make that happen. And also I would say hit up Google AI Studio. If you're in our Discord, I'll probably drop in a resource in there as well, because technically you can use Google AI Studio, screen share right into it, and then you're able to kind of work with it and it'll live troubleshoot with you, it'll live teach you and everything like that. So I would definitely recommend that as well to learn new skills. Again, if you enjoyed this workshop, please fill out our survey. This helps us create more programming like this. And if you're not signed up for our Ideathon and Hackathon, highly recommended, up to 3.5K in prizes. I don't think we have a ton of AR submissions yet, or people who are looking to build on AR VR. So, friend to friend here, because we're all friends here. I'm just saying, like, the competition is small, so you have a chance to get that pot of coin, even as a beginner. So that was just a little hint. That's just a little tea from me to you, but highly recommend. And I'll drop the survey in here again. Subscribe to the YouTube to stay in the know about when this recording is uploaded. I'll cut out that part. That was a little awkward. And everything. And yeah, that's all we have for today. Looking forward to seeing you all at our next workshop. Our next workshop will be, we have a pitching one on Thursday, but we also have an info session with Dev 3 Pack on Wednesday as well. So subscribe to our event calendar, which I will put in the chat right now. CreateHER best.fyi/events calendar. Hopefully I spelled that right, and let me know if not. But feel free to join the Discord. We'll keep the conversation going. Like Marlena said, she's in the Discord as well if you have additional questions. And yeah, feel free to check out our website. I just published a newer version of it, so let me know what you think of it. I built that also with AI. I built that with Claude. So let me know your thoughts, and super excited to see you all in the next phase. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's some few parts of that recording we're gonna have to cut out.
Oh yeah, we're gonna cut it.